Thanks for joining us here on Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones, thanks for joining us as we are looking back on minicamp with the winners and losers from minicamp as the Ravens wrap up their off-season activities. We now await training camp. But first, before we get to all of that, we are just about 50 days away from the Hall of Fame game. Granted, the Ravens will not be in the Hall of Fame game, but it still makes you think football is almost here, folks. So, if you are ready for the season to start, go ahead and tickle that like button for me. Show some love if you're ready for the season to start. If not, comment and tell me why, and we'll get started with today's show. The first winner from minicamp is Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. And I got to tell you, everything I've heard from Lamar's camp since the extension, which was the day of the first round of the NFL draft, has been extremely positive. And it seems like that he's on the same page with new offensive coordinator Todd Monken, that everything seems to be going well. You got the new receivers there and everything. All is well and good with Lamar Jackson. More on Lamar at minicamp, according to The Athletic. After offensive series during games, Jackson traditionally takes a seat on the bench and calmly talks things over with his backup Tyler Huntley and his quarterback's coach. If this week's practices are any indication, that gathering could expand. During one full team segment Tuesday, Jackson held court with a couple of teammates at the iPad station as they reviewed plays from the previous series. Jackson and cornerback Marlon Humphrey even went over what they were seeing together. Jackson said Monken's devotion to the small details of playing the position has rubbed off on him a little in their short time working together. So the little stuff seems to be paying off, and Lamar Jackson on the same page as Todd Monken. The leadership stuff is there. All of that is really good to hear in regards to Lamar. He's playing under his third different offensive coordinator of his career in Todd Monken. And I sit here today, folks, I honestly think this is going to be the best offensive coordinator he's had, that you are going to see a significant upgrade, not just for Lamar Jackson, but this offense as a whole under Todd Monken. Lamar's coming off that PCL injury, and everything points to that Lamar is just fine, that he's all set, ready to go, and we'll see if he can come up with an MVP campaign similar to what he did in 2019. Name a winner from Ravens minicamp, whether it's Lamar Jackson or somebody else. This is our pinned comment today. Weigh in the comment section and give me a name that comes to mind. It's a winner from minicamp for your Baltimore Ravens. Let me know in the comments section below as we continue here on the Ravens Rundown. So our next winner from Ravens minicamp, we're going to stay on offense, go to wide receiver Nelson Agholor. And Nelson Agholor has been someone that's really stood out in the headlines when it's come to offseason activities over the last couple of weeks. What he was able to do in OTAs, now in minicamp as well. Listen to this from Yardbarker about Nelson Agholor. One surprising wide receiver has seen a lot of action the last few days. According to reports, veteran wide receiver Nelson Agholor opened up team drills with a red zone touchdown on Wednesday, and he was one of the most active pass catchers on Tuesday. Nelson Agholor just may have been a steal for the Ravens. They got him on a one-year, $3.25 million contract, and he has looked outstanding. We saw him previously with the Patriots, the Raiders, and played a significant role with the Philadelphia Eagles when he won that Super Bowl with that team. He's projected to be about the number 3 or 4 receiver for Baltimore, but let's say that he's the number 4. He might be the best number 4 receiver in the NFL. He is going to be sneaky good for this Baltimore Ravens team and has certainly impressed so far to this point. Next up on the list, we're going to stay on offense. That's where we find Ronnie Stanley at the offensive tackle spot. And for Ronnie Stanley, this is a year of not only playing at an all-pro level of what's expected out of him, but also being available and being healthy. And last year was a step in the right direction when he came back. Well, listen to this from The Athletic as far as Ronnie Stanley goes. The only new non-participants were left tackle Ronnie Stanley and linebacker Delshon Phillips. Stanley spoke to reporters earlier in the day and said he's feeling as good as he's felt in several years. So his absence was probably just a case of a veteran getting the afternoon off. So giving him the time off to rest, stay healthy, all that's a good thing. That's a day off well-deserved as far as I'm concerned when it comes to Ronnie Stanley. Think about this. Started 11 games in 2022 after returning from that ankle surgery. He had only played in 7 games in 2020 and 2021. So just the fact that he's around, that he looks good, he feels good, you'd have to think he's going to play good this upcoming year, right? Hopefully he gets back to that all-pro level there. More winners to get to in a second, but first, what's your biggest takeaway from Ravens minicamp so far to this point? From what you've heard, what comes to mind, whether it's on this show or other reports? Tell us in the comments section, weigh in, and tell me what your biggest takeaway from Ravens minicamp is. So after Ronnie Stanley, we're going to turn our attention to the defensive side of the ball, and that's where we find Roquan Smith, the star linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, who they acquired midseason from the Chicago Bears. And Roquan Smith, we found out this week, is going to take on an increased role. Not only is he coming off arguably the best season of his NFL career to this point, but now he becomes the de facto face of this Ravens defense. Listen to this. Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald said Roquan Smith will wear the green dot with Chuck Clark no longer on the team. And so for folks that may not know, the green dot, that is the guy that is the signal caller for the defense. It is a big job that's asked and a big leadership position as well. So Roquan Smith not only is a hell of an impact player, but also you're looking at a guy that can be trusted as a leader in the face of this defense to take on these duties here. It's a huge honor for Roquan Smith to take this job that we found out. Traded to Baltimore back on October 31st. And his contract situation, we know Roquan Smith is about to get paid a whole lot of money as he begins a 5-year, $100 million extension with about $60 million of that guaranteed, coming off a all-pro season in 2022. One more winner on our list before we move on to the losers that we will get to is tight end Isaiah Likely. Likely had a solid rookie campaign last year, and we saw Mark Andrews was out at times, and it was turned to Likely to be the number one tight end at a couple different points last year. Charlie Kolar, of course, missed most of the season as well, so there was a lot of pressure on Isaiah Likely as a rookie. Showed some flashes at times, and so far throughout minicamp, he's kind of picked up from where he left off in 2022. Listen to this from BaltimoreRavens.com. Tight end Isaiah Likely made a one-handed catch look easy and continued to get open, running smooth routes. Likely has continued to stack strong practices. Of the returning receivers for the Ravens this year, he is the third leading returning receiver for Baltimore. The former fourth-round pick out of Coastal Carolina. CBS Sports recently described the pairing of Likely and Andrews together as a lethal duo between the two. So watch out. Some good football ahead. And don't sleep on Charlie Kolar either. I'm very high on him as well. The losers list coming up next. But first, name a breakout player for the Ravens this season. Is it Isaiah Likely? Is it Charlie Kolar? Is it somebody else we talked about today? Get in that comment section. Your chance to weigh in and tell me what you think. Name a breakout player for the Ravens this season. Now to the losers list. Got to start with J.K. Dobbins. Very disappointing about J.K. Dobbins, of him not being there. And we've seen the tweets that have piled up over the last couple of weeks in regards to his future. It's not ideal with J.K. Dobbins. And he's kind of put it out there that he doesn't know what the future holds. And there's been rumblings about if he fits this scheme or not, if Baltimore is going to move on from him. And it just feels sad, doesn't it? After all that hard work to get back last year and how well he finished off 2022, his future remains in doubt with the Baltimore Ravens organization. More from Jonas Schaefer of the Baltimore Banner. Absent, though, was J.K. Dobbins. The running back had missed the team's voluntary football school workout and its organized team activities over the offseason. But the team has featured him in its media day photo shoots, Early Tuesday, Dobbins had even shared photos of him in a Ravens uniform on Instagram. When Harbaugh was asked before practice about Dobbins, he said he was very excited about the running back's role in coordinator Todd Monken's new offense. There was no indication he would be missing in action for the non-contact practices. So kind of caught off guard that he wasn't there to begin with. So not good as far as that goes with J.K. Dobbins. Another loser on this list, we're going to point to Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ is a loser on this list. And according to the reports that we've read how things went for OBJ, it didn't necessarily look that great. Now, granted, this is the first time that he's had formal practices in well over a year, as he hasn't played a football game since the Super Bowl win that he had with the Rams over the Bengals. But nonetheless, listen to this from The Athletic, what they had to say. Still in the ramp-up stage after he didn't attend voluntary workouts, saw more action in full-team work, but the Ravens had an awfully hard time getting him the football. Beckham was targeted 4 different times in full-team and 7-on-7 work, and none of the throws resulted in completions. So not ideal for OBJ. Got to do a better job of getting open and get him the football, but maybe those things will work out over time. One more loser on this list is Andy Isabella. And we heard that Andy Isabella had some highlight moments, but overall, it's not looking promising as far as his future goes. With a crowded wide receiver room that you have now in Baltimore, it doesn't sound ideal for Andy Isabella of his future in making this roster. Listen to this from Russell Street Report. Andy Isabella has gone from potential hidden draft gem when he was selected by the Arizona Cardinals in the second round of the 2019 draft to general afterthought. I'd still consider him a long shot. That's probably a little generous. But this is a league where jobs are often earned in the summer in practice fields, either where the player currently is or a new team that gives him a shot because of what he has put on tape elsewhere. So still some more work to do for Andy Isabella to ultimately try to make the Ravens roster. Name a loser from Ravens Minicamp. We gave you a couple names out there. I'm sure there's more as well that you could mention. Give me a name or two that was a loser from Ravens Minicamp and let me know. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there, and I'll see you next time right back here on the Ravens Rundown. Thanks for joining us.